Caitlin Mehrtens is the co-leader and harpist for contemporary music ensemble Loop 38. If you could play any instrument other than the harp, what would it be?
This is one I've thought about a lot, actually. I think I'm a little biased because my parents are brass musicians, but I've always loved the French horn. Actually, in my undergrad, I had a friend teach me like a semester of French horn lessons for like secondary credit, and I just love it. I'm terrible at it, but I would love to be mediocre at the horn someday.
What are some things you do to ease your nerves before a big performance?
Um, one thing I find myself doing in a warm-up room before an audition or something, I worked at a yoga studio a couple of years ago, and I never taught classes or anything. I was just working at the front desk, but I took a lot of yoga, and some of the first like breathing exercises that you go through in a yoga class before you really start getting into all the more challenging poses, I found really helpful for just like centering. So sometimes, yeah, I'll do some like breathing and like light stretching, inspired from my yoga experience.
How did you get into contemporary music?
Um, that I went to Oberlin for my undergrad, and Oberlin, I think, as a music school, is known for um, having a wide variety of things, like types of music that you can study. There's an incredible jazz program. I got into that a little bit too. And there's a really great contemporary program there. So it was really easy for me to play in the contemporary ensemble and learn a lot. The first couple times it's really hard, but um, I I got a lot of experience in my undergrad playing contemporary music and formed or joined a contemporary ensemble outside of school when I was in the Cleveland area. And so then as soon as I got to Houston, I knew I wanted to keep playing contemporary music, and I found Loop 38, and I've been with them ever since.
Are there college courses teaching contemporary music?
Um, there's not like a class you can take on performing it. There are like history classes on more modern music history, but it's like you can be in the Oberlin Orchestra for a semester. You can be in the Sinfonietta, which is a slightly smaller group. Loop 38 often plays in like a Sinfonietta-sized group, and then there's the contemporary ensemble. So you just kind of cycle through all the different ensembles, and so the contemporary group is one of them. And actually, the conductor there, Tim Weiss, is he's one of the people I admire the most. He's just an incredible contemporary musician and conductor, and so I think him being there and being able to work with him was a big part of that too. So it's not like a class, but yeah, it's like if you get to work with these amazing musicians and conductors and be a part of that.
What are some of your favorite parts about playing in an ensemble? Do you find it harder or easier than playing as a soloist?
Um, it's it's tough because it's so different. I love playing solo music, and that's what you get to do a lot as a harpist if you're playing a wedding or you're playing a background music performance. It's often just you. You can be fully self-sufficient as a harpist, which is great. But I love making music with other people. I think that's what really that's the thing that makes me the happiest. And part of playing solo music when you're sharing it with an audience has that, like communication and just the aspect of sharing, but uh, just play like you can speak a language when you play music, and when you get to speak that language with somebody else in real time, I think that's really a special thing. So um, it's about like sharing something really special that you don't get to do in any other setting. I love that about playing in an ensemble, but I do love playing solo music too. It's just tough.
What are some of your favorite pieces you have performed with Loop 38?
Ooh, there's a lot of them. The one that comes to mind first was a recent performance of a piece by Sarah Kirkland Snyder. She wrote a piece for choir and kind of sinfonietta, and it has an amazing harp part. I played that recently with the Houston Chamber Choir and Loop 38. That was really fun. It's like really beautiful harp writing and a very satisfying piece to play. A couple years ago, we also played another piece of hers. It's a quartet, but it's for harp, viola, marimba, and trombone, which is not an ensemble that you see every day. It's a very weird group of instruments, and that was also a really cool piece. Great writing, and that was, on the concert, that was a lot of people's favorites. I really liked that one too. And it's cool because it's a cool group of instruments. But I have played solos with Loop 38 too. There's one by Angelica Negron with some electronics. Like there's a tape playing at the same time, and I'm sort of interacting with this electronic part. And there was also a video we recorded of Sergiu Natra's Prayer, one of my favorite pieces for harp. And I think the video, like it all came together really nicely for that video. It's another great piece that I love to play. So, I mean, it was just like going back, thinking through all the seasons, there's a ton of really cool music out there that we've been able to get our hands on.
What are your thoughts on the selection of contemporary harp repertoire? Would you say there is a lack of it?
I don't think so. I think, there's a lot of stuff out there. I found actually that on the recent, when we program seasons for Loop 38, we're thinking about trying to use all of the different instruments we have. It's sometimes hard to find music with trumpet or horn or trombone in it that's written for contemporary music. So we're always looking for making sure we engage those musicians. But I've been on every concert, most pieces. It's been busy for harp this year, especially. And sometimes it's hard to find the right piece that has harp in it at the right time. But there's a ton of music out there, and a lot of really, really cool stuff. And the thing about contemporary music is there's always more happening. There's always new stuff being written. Yolanda Condonasis just did a huge commissioning project with all these pieces that are 5 minutes long and about the environment. So I'm really excited about finding music for some of those. I've already played one of them. So there's always new stuff happening too, which is cool.
Would you say there's a lot of improvisation involved with contemporary music?
Yeah, there can be. I'd say there doesn't have to be. There's plenty of music that is just through composed. All the pieces I've mentioned had very little improvisatory aspect, if at all. But we did a concert in the Buffalo Bayou Cistern, which was super cool. If you're it's a hidden gem of the Houston arts scene, and it's this incredible acoustic space. But anyway, we played a piece there that the score was a picture. It was a map of an artistic map of the Houston Bayou system. So you can see different lines kind of merging together and going apart. And there was a star where Houston is. And that was all the music we got. So it was very improvisatory because you basically have to interpret this piece of art, the visual art. We've also done a couple of projects working with visual artists and just performing their art as if it was a musical score. So there can be a lot of improvisation, but there's lots of pieces that don't involve any improvisation at all. So it's kind of if you want to do it, you can, but if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. I think it's fun.
What do you love the most about contemporary music, and how does it compare to other genres of music?
I think the thing that makes me the most excited about contemporary music is getting to work with the composers. If you're playing a Mozart concerto, for instance, you don't get to talk to Mozart and ask him questions and figure out why he did what he did. I mean, there's lots of writing about it. I love playing Mozart too. But I've played a couple of pieces recently with Loop 38 where we're deeply in touch with the composer. They're writing it for us. We just did our first major commission, and we were working with the composer to make this piece that really fit us, and worked for the composer and this poet as well. To me, it's all about working with other people, and that's what you get to do in contemporary music. It just adds this other layer of the composer is involved. We've had composers fly in from out of town to come like listen to works that we're playing of theirs, and it's really special to work with them and to talk to them. That's like it's just exciting, you know. It adds another layer of interesting.
Lastly, what advice would you offer to harpists that want to dive into the world of contemporary music?
On a similar note, I would say talk to composers. You know, if you're in, I was just in a high school where they're playing music that your classmates are writing. You know, that's really cool. Talk to them, get them to write music for you, because it's hard to get into on its own. I would say it's not like. It's like you can do a lot of listening, you can go out there, you can do your research, but the most engaging part to me is talking to people and working together. And that can lead you down many rabbit holes and pathways that get you interested in different kinds of music and other composers, and you can see like who they're influenced by. But composers are thinking about it all the time. And I think it's just like it's the most interesting to just find a composer that you like and talk to them. I would also say if you're interested in getting into contemporary music, don't be afraid not to like something too. You know, I feel like a lot of people get scared. It's like, well, that was a really intense experience. I'm not sure if I really liked that piece. That's okay. You don't have to like everything. And I think people get nervous with something. It's like, well, I didn't quite get it. That you don't have to, you know. Don't put the pressure on yourself to enjoy every piece of contemporary music that you hear, but try to go in with an open mind and like think about how it makes you feel. If you didn't like it, it made you feel something, you know. So I think that's a fear for some people just like new to it. But if you have that in with the composer and you're ready to just listen to whatever and like or not like it, I think that's a good way to get into it.